Hello, beautiful souls. My name is Jessie, and welcome back to another episode of Rewire to Inspire. This show where we'll dive into self-love, learn tangible ways to rewire the brain, and discovering your soul's purpose. The goal of Rewire to Inspire is to encourage listeners to begin doing the hard work, to get curious and open to maximizing your life. Our mindset shapes how we live. Depending on life events, traumas, and personal experiences, our mindsets are all vastly different. However, one thing we all have in common is the ability to rewire our mind, to change the narrative, and to pivot our lives. I hope you leave each episode with the belief that you are so worthy to live a life true to you. I look forward to chatting with you every single Tuesday and Thursday and helping you grow exponentially in all areas of your life. Without further ado, here's today's episode. Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to my podcast, Rewire to Inspire. I am your host, Jessie Brown, and I am so excited to be jumping on the microphone with you all for episode number 113. I hope you are all having an amazing day. Happy April. I hope that maybe the snow is melting where you're living, or maybe the birds are chirping a little louder. Spring is upon us, and I am looking at my window right now. It is almost 7:30 on a Wednesday evening. The sun is still shining, the clouds are beautiful, and it's just so lovely. I am obsessed with this time of year. The temperature is perfect. There's no bugs yet. It's still like a little bit of a breeze, but nonetheless, it's just gorgeous. I love it. And so I hope that this time of year is filling your cup. We are replenishing from coming out of winter. I know this year was a harder winter for a lot of us. I know it definitely was for me. In particular, going to silence my phone there. Forgot to do that before starting. But I hope that you guys are, refilling your energy, refilling your cup back up. Your soul is feeling happy. And so for today, for episode number 113, I wanted to chat about some things that you might be taking for granted. And the reason that I wanted to share this episode with you all is because this is a list of things that I have been taking for granted. And it's a list of things that as I was sitting here reflecting, as I do, I'm like, I can't be the only one that finds themselves going through life, trying to get to that next thing, trying to chase that next thing. And if you are a listener of this podcast, it's likely that in some way, shape, or form, you are growth-oriented. You do enjoy maximizing your potential and wanting to become the best version of yourself in some way, shape, or form. Whether that be working on our inner child, working on healing, trying to understand our mental health so we can take that next step forward. However, in all of that, and in life, we get so busy going about things and chasing the next thing and going from one thing to the next that we can really begin to overlook a lot of things in life and take them for granted. And the things that I'm going to share with you today aren't really the typical things that we often hear. And although I want this to be a reminder of those things as well, such as food and of water and those things, these things are more fundamental. So without further ado, let's dive into some things that you might be taking for granted so we can get them into our mind so we can bring awareness to them. Because I truly do believe that when we are leaning into gratitude and we're seeing the things that we have versus the things that we don't, we're allowing our brain to change itself to begin to focus on the good, which very beautifully ties into the first thing that I think a lot of us take for granted is that our brain has something called neuroplasticity, meaning it has the ability to rewire itself. It has the ability to heal itself. Our brain, from my perspective, is honestly the coolest thing in the world. We don't have control of a lot of things. We can feel that way sometimes, right? Like we don't have control of a lot of things. But we have full control of our mind and being able to rewire our mind. And that does not mean that it's easy. That does not mean that it's a quick fix. That does not mean that, we can be in a place to do that sometimes. However, I think we often overlook the fact that we have the capability to do so. We have the ability to rewire our mind, to change the narrative of our life, to pivot our life, to think differently, to respond differently, to live differently. I know this to be true because Jessie 5 years ago was nowhere near the same mindset that I have now. And yes, we go through life and we change and we evolve. But I know that that shift was because I was consciously noticing the conversations that I was having with myself, which was an episode that I actually did about 2 weeks ago about why it's so important we pay attention to what we tell ourselves. But that is my first thing, you guys, is I want you to recognize that we might be taking for granted the superpower that is our brain. Are you maximizing its potential? Are you loving on it? Are you taking care of it? I just did an episode that came out on Tuesday of last week all about, do you need to give your brain more compassion? Our brain and our body is always trying to keep us safe and always trying to do all these things for us. Are we in return giving it the love and validation that it so deeply deserves? The next thing, and this sounds, oh my gosh, you guys, this sounds so corny, but I really want you to just fully hear me when I say this. Another day to be alive. This has been my new high on life thing that I tell myself each and every day throughout the day whenever I'm starting to feel stumped is, hey, Jess, you got to live another day. Isn't that amazing? We take for granted that we wake up in the morning. And I don't think we really realize the significance of that. We wake up and we have, all these things to complain about. Oh, I have to make breakfast. Oh, I have to go to work. I have to do all these things. And it's like, why can't we just take a second to find gratitude for the fact that we woke up another day? We get to see the sunshine another day. We get to have our hearts beating another day. We get the chance to make a difference every day. We get the opportunity to make an impact for ourselves and for others every single day. And so I hope that you listening really just take a second to look around your space right now. Maybe you're driving, maybe you're at work, maybe you're at the gym, wherever it is. And if you're at the gym, that's pretty cool. Go you. You got this. But I want you to just look at your surroundings for a moment and just find appreciation of, wow, I am pretty blessed that I get to be here another day. There's a lot of folks that yesterday was their last day here on earth. And you get to be here another day. And I don't want this to be sad, and I don't want us to, go into a shameful place, but I want us instead to look at each and every day as a blessing and as an opportunity to do something different and to live it to our fullest capability, because one day, that last day, will be here, and we might not know when that is. And so another day to be alive is a tremendous, phenomenal, amazing thing to be grateful for. My next thing is access to resources. And again, this is going to be different depending on where we live, what we have, what's going on, but we all have access to things. We have access to technology. We can pretty much Google anything on the face of the earth. We have the capability of walking in public spaces and getting access to anything we want. So for example, going to the library, going on the computer, being able to have access. So I really wanted to make a lot of these ones that could fit any demographic of individuals, whatever your circumstances are. But I think the thing that we don't realize is that we have access to resources beyond what we could ever imagine. Like I was looking at that app the other day, and I should definitely know the name of this, that new AI app. Oh my gosh, I can't remember what it's called. Quick Chat? No, that's definitely not what it's called. Anyways, nonetheless, you probably know what I'm talking about. And you can literally ask it any question and it'll spit it out. And it's like, holy smokes, have we come a long way with technology and with resources. And so let's not take that for granted. I know sometimes it can be like kind of scary when we think about that. I know that I get a little bit like, a robot's taking over, like what's going on? But access to resources is huge and something that we shouldn't overlook or take for granted. And so that, again, is going to be different for all of us, but we all have so many things that we can have at the tip of our fingers, which is so cool. Anything you can possibly imagine, you can probably find access to it. My next thing that we often take for granted is that we each hold endless opportunities. Even if you don't have the belief that you do, even if you don't have it in your awareness right now, even if that doesn't ring true for you right now, we all have access to endless opportunities should we choose to venture towards something. That is an amazing thing to be grateful for. Even if we don't take action, even just the awareness of knowing that at any moment we have the ability to really do whatever we put our mind to and stick with and are consistent with. That is amazing. On those tougher days, sometimes I'll just sit here and I'm like, you know what? Within reason, I could really do whatever I want. What a powerful, freeing thought to have. Instead of, I'm not good at that one thing. It's like, no, you can do what you put your mind to. Again, within reason, within our quantum abilities, within our where we're going to be consistent and all those barriers. But I'm not going to get into that today. But why aren't we a little more grateful for the fact that we have endless possibilities in life? We are the ones steering the ship. We are the ones in control. And the more that we know that and find gratitude for that, wow, what a freeing and empowering thing to give to our mind and to our soul, to just allow it that permission to be, curious about something, to try something, to see what happens. My next thing that we might be taking for granted is the people that care about you. I know that I am so guilty of this, where there's days that I'm like, nobody cares about me. Nobody could care less. And it's like, whoa. Okay, so basically, and this is the story that I tell myself in my head, and it's pretty messed up, but this is what I tell myself. I'm like, okay, so if I died right now, no one would go to my funeral. I know that that's not true. And so that's kind of my sneaky way of telling my brain, a lot of people care about you. A lot more people than you might realize. I know exactly what it's like to not know where to turn, to feel alone, helpless, and stuck. My goal as a coach is to help clients from a trauma-informed perspective see your worth and develop self-belief so you may chase your dreams and trust your intuition to live the most aligned, fulfilling life possible. If you're looking to elevate your life to the next level, but aren't sure where to start, I would absolutely love to connect. If you're feeling pulled or curious, please use the link in the show notes below to book your free call. I look forward to connecting and supporting you on your own unique journey. But anyways, that's what I do, is I tell myself, okay, would people show up to my funeral? Yes. Okay, what does that mean? It means people care about me. Okay, so is my thought irrational? Yes. Okay, what is it trying to tell me? Maybe it's trying to tell me that I'm lonely. Maybe that's really what that thought is that comes up. But I've been leaning more into finding gratitude of, there's a lot of people that care about me, and I care about a lot of people. And so I try my hardest to let those know around me that I love and care about them. Because this can be one that we all kind of take for granted because we can forget. Especially on those days that we're feeling lower, we're having a tougher day. It can be really, really easy to just get down in the dumps and feel like nobody gives an F about you. But it's like, we know that that's not true. We know that's not accurate. So how can we lean into more gratitude of knowing people do care about me? I care about a lot of people. What is this thought that's coming up for me? And kind of leaning into that. My next one, you guys, next thing we need to be more grateful for, and I'm looking at my bookshelf in front of me, and it is books. Oh my goodness. Guilty as charged. I held the identity that I'm not a reader, I hate books, couldn't care less, for 22 years of my life. It has really only been in the last 2.5 years that I've genuinely enjoyed and learned to appreciate the power that is books. The amount of books that there are out there is amazing. Because it's a lot of work, but to me, when I look at books, I'm like, this is so many people's imaginations and work on paper. I get the opportunity and the pleasure of diving into what was once somebody's thoughts. I find books are almost like someone's personal diary because that's really what their thoughts were. What they're writing and what they're expressing or what they're studying or doing research on or telling a story about. It's like, that was just once an idea in their head. It was a passion. It was a curiosity. And now here it is in my hand and I get to read it or listen to it or whatever it is. But books is definitely something I think a lot of us take for granted, because I think a lot of us think it's boring or it's a waste of time or it's whatever. But so much of what I reference and learn that I share on my podcast, I get from books. I join a book club every Saturday. It is amazing. If you are interested, send me a message. I would love to invite you. It is with Next Level University. There's a group of us that go. It is phenomenal. If you are growth oriented and want to learn, we would love to have you there. But it's just magical that we're reading one chapter at a time and then discussing it. And it just leads to this hour-long conversation with this group of people. I really think books can tie us together and make us feel connected, because words hold just so much power and can teach us so much, and we have so much to learn from other people. And what a better way to fill our mind than to read and to learn from books. So that is definitely a huge one that I think we take for granted, because again, guilty. All these are ones that I feel I've taken for granted in the last year or whatever it is. I've taken every single one of these for granted, and in reality, all of us have. And so again, today's episode is not about shaming you, but it's about bringing awareness so we can tap into that gratitude, because it is such a phenomenal place and headspace and just place. How many times am I going to say that? To be in. I have 2 more left for you guys. The next one is trees. It is nature. It is the sunshine. It is our environment. It is the grass. It is the ground. It is the flowers. Really just Mother Nature. We take those things for granted way too much. Way too much. I think the proactive approach to environmentalism and to looking at sustainability and all these things really isn't great. I look outside and I just see so much beauty. But it's like, I can appreciate it and look at it, and I don't really take the physical being of it for granted. But one thing that I think I do take for granted is how I live my life in accordance to how that's going to affect the world, how that's going to affect the environment. And so those are things that I no longer want to take for granted. So recycling properly, composting properly, being as sustainable as possible, doing one thing at a time, again, not to overwhelm ourselves, but it's like we take for granted that we're still in existence, that we're not dealing with a lot of things. But in reality, the way that a lot of us are living is bound to catch up with the world at one time or another. We're seeing this already with natural disasters overseas, but just because it's not happening where you are doesn't mean we get to take it for granted. And this is something that I am also guilty of throwing things in the wrong garbage and just doing things like buying stupid stuff just to buy it, like too much plastic. And I'm like, whoa, is this just because nothing's happened yet? Am I being too, abundant in how I'm living my life? But how is this going to affect my kids, my grandkids, my great-great-grandchildren? Like, how is that going to affect the generations that are to follow? It is our job now not to take it for granted and to do the work, because we each have to play a part in this. But I hope that you take a moment to just find extra gratitude for the sun, for the trees, for our environment, for the world that we live in, because without it, girlfriend, boyfriend, me, guys, we would not exist. We have to find gratitude. It is what keeps us going. It is what keeps us, on this earth. And so we need to lean into more gratitude. The last thing, and I know that this is one, I know I said I'm going to pick ones that kind of tend to all of us, and this one fits a lot of us, not all of us, but it's our 5 senses. So whatever that may resonate for you, whether that is sight, our smell, our taste, our hearing, our touch, whatever it is, I think we take that for granted a lot. I know that I do. Again, I'll be the first one to admit this. I'll take for granted the fact that I have eyes and I can see and I can smell things and I can taste things and I can hear perfectly and I can touch things and feel sensations in different ways. And I think the fact that we're born with these things, and again, I'm not speaking for everybody, and so I hope that this just lands okay and in an appropriate way, but when we're born with these things and it's all we know, it's very easy to take them for granted. Because if it's all we know, it's like, this is just how it should be. But what if one of those things was taken away suddenly? I know someone who lost their vision at the age of 11 or 12, I can't remember, and he had to completely shift how he lives his life. And I had to take a moment of like, wow, I can't even begin to imagine what that must be like. But what I can do is I can lean into gratitude of the fact that I can still see. I have the ability to come on here, look at my computer screen in front of me and do work. That is such a blessing each and every day. If you get to drive to work, guess what? You're doing it with your eyeballs and your ears. Without those, you wouldn't be able to do that. You know? And so I think we need to just look at the things that we do every single day subconsciously without realizing it, because that's the thing. As we do things repetitively, it is our brain's job to switch into more of an automatic state, as in, eating, going to the washroom, brushing our teeth, showering, those things. We do them second nature, so we don't really think about what we're doing. But how much of that is allowing us to take things for granted without even realizing it? And so that is my goal of today's episode, is for you guys to get off of here and just be like, wow, I'm so grateful to be alive. I'm so grateful for one of my 5 senses. Maybe find one of them and find appreciation for them. Maybe text or call a friend and tell them that you love them and you appreciate them. Maybe pick up a good book. Maybe look in the mirror and tell yourself you're so grateful for you, for getting through 100% of your hard days. Gratitude is, from my perspective, and again, based on books that I've read, one of the biggest cures of a lot of disease and pain and things that we see in the world. We take so many things for granted without even realizing it. And I think that it doesn't make us bad people. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make me a bad person. I think it's just the way it is. But I think it's important to have these reminders sometimes. Because that's been my focus for this week, is just leaning more into that. Having another day alive and being so dang happy about it. And I am grateful for you listening, for tuning in. Thank you guys so much as always. That is all I have for you today. If you enjoyed today's episode, it would mean the absolute world to me if you could rate the show, leave a comment below if that is in alignment for you. But rating the show really does help me just to reach more people so I can continue to grow this show, so I can continue on my journey of making a global impact. You guys have been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, truly, from the bottom of my heart, for tuning in every single Tuesday and Thursday. I can't thank you guys enough. All the love. If you're looking to connect, you can find me on Instagram at Jessie Brown 13. If you're looking to book a free 30-minute call, my link is in the description below. I look forward to connecting with you all. All the love. Happy April. I look forward to chatting to you all on Thursday. Bye, you guys. Thank you all so much for tuning into today's episode of Rewire to Inspire. I absolutely love connecting with you all, so make sure you're following me on Instagram. I am at Jessie Brown 13. If you enjoyed today's episode, please feel free to leave a review or share with someone you think would enjoy. I look forward to chatting with you all next episode. And remember, get out of your head and into your heart.